moment, Adam thought he was imagining things. She wasn't human. Her face was sharp, her features angular, but there was something striking about her, something that made him think she was far more than just an alien. She moved with an effortless grace, her limbs long and lithe, wrapped in a strange material that shimmered in the low light. Her skin, a deep shade of bronze, glistened slightly as she stepped closer, but Adam couldn't focus on the details. His mind was still reeling from the sight of her. She was different, and not just in the way most aliens were. There was an undeniable power in the way she stood there, as though the world around her bent to her will. "Are you real?" Adam muttered, his voice hoarse from days of thirst and strain. Her eyes narrowed slightly, an unreadable expression on her face. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she took a slow step forward, her gaze flicking from his face to the blaster in his hand. "You are hurt," she said, her voice soft, but there was an edge to it, a kind of authority that made Adam's skin prickle.
"I'll be fine," he said quickly, realizing just how weak he sounded. His body had begun to ache more in the last few hours, and the bleeding from his side wasn't stopping, despite the makeshift bandage he'd fashioned. "You should not lie to yourself, human," she replied. Her voice was calm, but there was a distant coldness in it that unsettled Adam.
"Let me help you." Before he could protest, she moved faster than he could follow, her hand reaching out to touch his side, her fingers light but precise as they brushed against his skin. The instant her fingers made contact, Adam felt a sharp jolt, almost like a static charge, but more alive. He flinched, instinctively drawing back, but the woman held him in place, her hand gentle but firm. "You'll die if you don't allow me to help you," she said simply, her gaze unblinking. "This world is not kind to humans." He swallowed hard, his throat dry. His vision began to swim. "Who are you?" he managed to whisper, his body struggling to stay upright as dizziness overcame him.
"I am Lysera," she said, her tone flat, but there was something in the way she said it, a weight, a history. "And I'm not ordinary." Her words hung in the air, her meaning clear, but Adam couldn't fully grasp it. He felt a tremor deep within him, a strange mix of awe and fear. Who was she? What did she mean by not being ordinary? As she spoke, her hands worked expertly, ripping a piece of cloth from his torn shirt and wrapping it around his wound. The pressure was firm, but her touch was somehow soothing. "It's your choice whether you live or die," she continued, her voice unwavering. "But I will not let you bleed to death on this planet." Adam blinked, struggling to focus. His thoughts were a haze, but he could feel the blood loss catching up with him. His chest heaved, and his legs felt like they might give way at any moment. He opened his mouth to speak, to ask more questions, but the world around him blurred further, the edges softening as Lysera's touch seemed to work some kind of magic on him. Her voice broke through the fog in his mind. "You're lucky, human. Most others would have died already." She didn't wait for a response, only standing back to observe him as his body adjusted to her care. It was almost as if he could feel the wound healing itself, the throbbing pain ebbing away. He could hardly believe it. "What are you?" he managed to ask, his voice barely a whisper. "How are you doing this?" Lysera's gaze softened for a moment, though her face remained impassive. "You wouldn't understand." Adam stared at her, bewildered, but he didn't have the strength to press her further. His eyes fluttered shut, his body giving into the exhaustion. The last thing he remembered before slipping into unconsciousness was the feeling of Lysera's presence, the certainty that he had just encountered something far beyond the human understanding. Adam awoke to the sound of soft, rhythmic breathing.
His head throbbed, his body still sore from the crash and the brutal trek through the alien jungle. His eyes flickered open slowly, adjusting to the dim, eerie glow of the strange, pale green sky that filtered through the dense canopy above. He was lying on the ground, propped up by a pile of soft leaves, and for a brief moment, panic surged through him. Where was he? Was it all a dream? But then he remembered. Lysara. The woman had bandaged his wounds, and though he had fallen unconscious, he had no memory of being moved. Slowly he sat up, feeling the weight of his body as it protested the movement. His side still hurt, but it was nothing compared to before. The pain had dulled, as if some unseen force had soothed it. He blinked in disbelief, running a hand over his torso. The blood had stopped flowing, and the skin felt tighter, as though the wound had already begun to heal. Looking around, Adam noticed the surroundings were different. The jungle no longer felt as suffocating. He could see further into the distance, the trees parting just enough to let light through. But there, standing at the edge of the clearing, was Lysara. She hadn't moved since he last saw her. She was silent, her eyes scanning the horizon, her posture regal, almost predatory. She didn't look at him as he rose to his feet, but her presence was undeniable. "Good to see you're awake," she said, her voice calm but carrying an air of authority. "The healing process isn't instant, but I've done what I can for now." Adam stood there for a moment, trying to find his voice. You healed me." He couldn't quite believe it. After everything he had been through, being stranded on this strange world, surviving the crash, he hadn't expected something like this to happen. But the proof was in the way his wound had closed, in the lack of pain. Her eyes remained distant. "It was necessary. You're not the first human I've encountered, but you're the first to survive this long. Gauls. Survive?" Adam repeated, confused. "What do you mean?" She finally turned her gaze toward him, her dark eyes filled with something unreadable. "This world is a dangerous place for humans, but you have potential. I'm surprised you lasted as long as you did." Adam frowned, his thoughts still clouded by confusion. "Potential?" he asked, his voice hoarse from the disorientation. "What are you talking about?" She stepped closer, her footsteps light and fluid, as if she were gliding over the ground. "I didn't just save you for no reason. You are not just some random explorer. There's more to you, more than you understand." Adam took a step back, his eyes narrowing. "More?"
I don't even understand what's going on. You said you weren't ordinary. What does that mean?
Lysara's lips curled slightly into a smile, though it lacked warmth. "You will understand soon enough, human. But first, you need to know who I am. And more importantly, what I am." Adam shook his head, his mind racing with questions. He wasn't sure if he was ready to hear the answers. He had been in situations before, dangerous ones, where the unknown could either save you or kill you. But something about Lysara made him uneasy. He couldn't figure out if he should trust her or not. But in this hostile alien world, he had little choice. Lysara seemed to sense his hesitation, and she gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. "I am Lysara," she said, her voice quiet but powerful. "And I come from a race called the Arindar. We have existed for millennia, hidden from your kind." Adam's heart skipped a beat. Arindar? The name felt ancient, heavy with significance. But the name alone meant nothing to him. Arindar? I've never heard of them. Lysara's expression remained unchanged.
"You wouldn't."
"Few humans know of us, and those who do rarely live to tell the tale. My people are different. Our history, our power, is not something that your species can easily comprehend." Adam felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He couldn't deny that there was something about Lysara that felt otherworldly. something beyond human understanding. He had witnessed her strength, her precision when fighting, but the idea that she was part of a hidden, ancient race was something he couldn't grasp.
You said you saved me for a reason, Adam said, trying to regain control of the conversation. What does that mean?
Why are you here? Lysara didn't answer immediately. She took a step back, her eyes scanning the surrounding jungle again. This planet is not what it seems. There are powers here, forces that most humans are not prepared to face. She glanced back at him, her gaze piercing. I was sent here, not by choice, but by duty. I've been tasked with protecting my people, keeping them hidden until the time is right. Adam took a deep breath, his mind still struggling to catch up. What does that have to do with me? He asked. Why am I important? Lysara finally turned fully toward him, her expression intense.
You are important because the fate of your species is linked to the fate of mine.
What? What are you saying?
She stepped forward again, her voice dropping to a whisper. I was born to lead my people, Adam, but I am not the only one. There are others who seek to control us, to enslave us. And there are those who would destroy us completely. Adam swallowed, his mind reeling. This was far beyond anything he had imagined. So you're a leader of some sort?
She nodded once, sharply. Yes?
And you are tied to my mission. You may not understand it now, but you will soon. You are here for a reason, whether you know it or not.
Adam felt his legs give way beneath him, and he collapsed back onto the ground, staring up at Lysara.
Why me? He muttered. Why pick me? Lysara's expression softened for the first time, though it still held that air of unspoken power. The universe works in strange ways, Adam. You'll find that your choices will shape what comes next. You may think you're just a human, a mere explorer lost on an alien world.
But I sense something in you, something
unexpected. Adam looked up at her, his breath steadying. He didn't know whether he should be afraid or relieved. One thing was certain. His life, as he knew it, had just changed forever. The sky above had shifted, its pale green hue deepening into a foreboding, stormy shade. The air was thick with tension, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Adam's mind raced, processing everything Lysara had told him. The universe was far more complex than he had ever imagined. And now, it seemed his life was caught in the crossfire of a galactic struggle he barely understood. As they traveled deeper into the jungle, Adam kept a close eye on Lysara. Her confidence was unshakable, her movements fluid and silent as she navigated the dense terrain. She had said little since their conversation, but her presence was constant, overwhelming. Every time he tried to break the silence, her distant gaze and careful words kept him at arm's length. He couldn't help but feel like there was more to her mission than she was letting on. What happens now? Adam asked, his voice breaking the stillness.
You said I'm important to your mission, but I still don't understand why. Lysara didn't immediately respond. Instead, she continued walking, her eyes scanning the horizon.
Adam could tell she was looking for something. Someone. The jungle was eerily quiet. No sounds of animals, no rustling of leaves. It was as if the planet itself was waiting. Finally, Lysara spoke, her voice low and measured.
There are forces at play here, forces that would use you to further their own goals.
You are a pawn in a larger game, Adam. But whether you are used or whether you take control of your own destiny depends on you.
Adam's confusion deepened, but his instinct told him to press her for more answers. Who are these forces? And what do they want with me? Lysara's gaze hardened, her eyes narrowing as she stopped in her tracks. There are many factions in the galaxy, each with their own agendas. Some would use your people for their own purposes. Others would crush them entirely. As for me, I am caught between these forces. My mission is to protect my people and to ensure that our power does not fall into the wrong hands. Adam took a step forward, his curiosity growing.
And what's my part in all this?
Why would these forces care about me? Lysara turned to face him, her expression unreadable.
You may be just a human, but you have something that they want.
You're connected to something far greater than yourself. Before Adam could respond, a sharp noise pierced the stillness. Something in the distance. It was a low growl, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps. Adam's heart skipped a beat as he instinctively reached for his blaster, but Lysara's hand shot out, stopping him.
Stay quiet, she hissed, her voice filled with urgency. Adam's blood ran cold.
He could hear the growl again, closer this time. Whatever it was massive, and it was hunting them. Lysara's eyes darted around the jungle, her posture tense, every muscle coiled for action. Adam followed her gaze, straining his eyes in the dim light. He couldn't see anything, but the sound of footsteps grew louder. The creature was close. Without a word, Lysara moved swiftly, her body blending with the shadows. Adam's heart pounded in his chest as he tried to follow her, but he wasn't as fast, wasn't as adept at moving through the dense undergrowth. His footsteps were louder than his heart was, and it felt like the creature would hear him at any moment. They reached a clearing, and Lysara halted, turning to face Adam. Her eyes locked onto his, her expression stern. We can't keep running forever.
We need to face this now. Adam's breath came in ragged gasps as he tried to steady himself.
Face what? What are we up against? Before she could answer, the creature emerged from the shadows. It was enormous. With glowing yellow eyes that reflected the dim light, its body was a mass of rippling muscles covered in a layer of thick, dark fur. It looked like something out of a nightmare, a predator designed for nothing but the hunt. Adam's stomach lurched as the creature's eyes fixed on him, its low growl reverberating through the air. It was almost as if it could smell his fear, sensing his weakness. Lysara stepped forward, her hand resting on the hilt of a weapon that Adam hadn't noticed before. It was sleek and sharp, unlike anything he had seen. Her gaze never wavered from the creature as she spoke, her voice calm but resolute. Stay behind me. Trust me. Adam barely had time to react before the creature lunged, its claws aimed for Lysara. Without hesitation, she moved faster than Adam could follow, her blade flashing in the dim light. The creature's growl turned into a screech as Lysara slashed at its exposed flank. The alien blood spilled in dark streaks, but the creature didn't stop. It recoiled for a moment, its massive form regaining its balance, before charging again. Adam's hand tightened around the blaster at his side. He didn't know what good it would do, but he couldn't just stand there. He fired a shot, but it barely seemed to faze the creature. It was fast, and the energy blast went wide. Lysara moved with terrifying precision, her blade cutting through the air like it was an extension of her body. She danced around the creature, dodging its swipes and delivering strikes that left gashes in its hide. Despite her strength, the creature was relentless, its movements fueled by rage. Adam's head spun as he tried to focus, trying to find a way to help. He knew Lysara was powerful, but even she could be overwhelmed by something this size. And if they couldn't stop it? Lysara, Adam called, his voice hoarse. How do we kill it? Lysara didn't look at him, her focus solely on the creature.
You don't,
she said simply.
But you can distract it.
Distract it?
Adam's mind raced as he searched for anything that might help. He noticed a pile of rocks nearby, large enough to create some kind of barrier. Without thinking, he grabbed one, hefting it with both hands before throwing it with all his strength toward the creature's face. The rock hit its target, making a loud thud, but it only angered the creature. It turned its gaze on Adam, its eyes flashing with fury. Before it could charge, Lysara was on it, her movements a blur. She delivered a strike to the creature's side, this time with more force, and the beast howled in pain. She stepped back, her breathing steady, as the creature staggered, blood dripping from its wounds.
Run, Lysara said, her voice sharp. Now. Adam didn't hesitate.
He turned and ran, his legs burning with the effort, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't know where he was going, but he trusted Lysara's judgment. He had no choice. Behind him, he heard the creatures roar. But it didn't follow. Lysara had bought them time. They had escaped. This time. But Adam knew that the real hunt had only just begun. The air had grown colder, and the dense jungle around them seemed quieter now, as if the threat had passed. Adam's breath came in ragged gasps as he stumbled through the thick underbrush, trying to stay as close to Lysara as possible. She moved effortlessly, her eyes scanning the surroundings, her pace never slowing. Adam, on the other hand, felt every ache in his body, every bruise and scrape from the fight with the massive creature. Despite the intense adrenaline that had propelled him forward moments earlier, fatigue was starting to settle in, and he couldn't help but feel like they were running out of time.
What now?
He asked, his voice low and tired. We're alive, but what happens next? What was that thing?
And why did you have me distract it?
Lysara didn't answer immediately. She kept walking, her steps light but purposeful. Adam could tell she was thinking, her expression distant. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she spoke. That creature was one of the many threats lurking on this planet. It's part of a larger, more dangerous ecosystem, one that we're caught in the middle of. She glanced back at him, her dark eyes unreadable. As for your role in all of this, it's not about distraction, Adam. You were chosen because you can help change the course of what's coming.
Adam's brow furrowed in confusion.
Chosen? By who?
And what's coming?
Lysara stopped in her tracks, turning to face him. Her gaze was intense, almost piercing.
By the forces I told you about. The ones who want to control my people.
The ones who are coming for you now, for me, for everything we've worked to protect. It's a fight that we can't escape, no matter how far we run. Adam felt a chill run through him at her words. The weight of her statement hung heavily in the air, and his mind began to spin. He hadn't signed up for any of this. He was just a simple explorer, lost on an alien world with nothing but his wits to survive. Now, somehow, he was at the center of something far bigger, a galactic struggle he couldn't even begin to understand. You said I can help, Adam muttered, his voice uncertain. But I don't even know how to fight like you.
I don't have your strength, your skills. Lysara's lips curled into a faint, almost sad smile.
You may not have my strength, but you have something just as valuable. Your humanity. It's something that they underestimate, something that can change the outcome of this war.
They think they can control you, manipulate you, but they're wrong. You will have a choice, Adam. He frowned, still trying to process everything she was saying. What do you mean, a choice? She nodded slowly. You'll have to choose a side. The path you take will decide the fate of your people. You can stand with me, with those who want to protect our freedom, or you can join the others, the ones who would enslave your kind, use you for their own purposes. Adam's heart pounded in his chest. The decision she was talking about sounded like it could change everything. But he didn't feel ready. He didn't know what any of this meant, let alone what it would take to make that kind of choice. I'm just a human, he said, his voice tinged with frustration. How can I possibly make that kind of choice? I don't even know what's at stake.
You're asking me to choose between sides I don't even understand.
Lysara's eyes softened, and she stepped closer to him.
I know it's overwhelming. You've been thrown into this without preparation. But the truth is, Adam, you're part of something bigger than you realize.
Your actions here could affect the balance of the entire galaxy. You may not have my abilities, but you have something that many others lack, an ability to see beyond your own interests.
It's something that makes you valuable.
Adam looked at her, searching her face for any sign of deception, but there was nothing. She seemed to believe every word she was saying. Still, the weight of it all was too much for him to grasp fully. How could he, one person, make such a difference in something so enormous? "You said I was chosen," he muttered. "By who?" Lysara paused, her gaze distant once more. "The choice wasn't made by any one being. It's the result of a force much older than you or I. The galaxy has been shaped by the decisions of countless beings for millennia. But now we're at a crossroads. The future of many races will be decided by the choices we make in the coming days." Adam felt a shiver of unease as he tried to wrap his mind around the enormity of her words. "So, I'm supposed to choose a side. But I don't know what that even means. I don't know who's good or who's bad." Lysara looked at him with an almost sympathetic expression.
It's not always so simple, Adam.
But you will have to trust your instincts. You have more power than you realize.
The only thing that truly matters is whether you're willing to fight for what's right. They stood there for a long moment, the weight of her words hanging heavily between them. Adam didn't know how to respond. He had always thought of himself as a small part of the universe, a speck of dust in the grand scheme of things. Now, he was standing on the precipice of a decision that could change everything, not just for him, but for the entire human race. Suddenly, the distant sound of footsteps interrupted their conversation, pulling Adam's attention away. His heart skipped a beat as he recognized the rhythmic beat of heavy boots. "Lysara," Adam whispered urgently. "They're here, the ones you're talking about. The ones who are after you." Lysara didn't flinch. She simply turned, her expression hardening. "It's time," she said quietly. "The moment of truth has arrived." Before Adam could respond, the figures emerged from the jungle, tall and imposing. They were humanoid, but their skin was a pale, almost sickly gray, and their eyes glowed an unsettling shade of red. Their movements were unnaturally precise, their presence ominous. They were not alone. More shadows moving just behind them, waiting for the signal to attack. Lysara's hand went to the weapon at her side, her body tense.
"These are the ones I spoke of," she said, her voice cold. "The ones who would destroy us."
Adam felt a surge of fear. He wasn't a fighter, not like Lysara, but he wasn't about to stand idly by either. He had no idea how he could help, but something in him, something deep down, told him that this was his moment. He had to make the choice, right here, right now. Lysara turned to him, her eyes locking with his.
This is your choice, Adam. Will you fight?
His hands trembled, but his voice was steady when he spoke.
I don't know if I can fight like you, but I'm with you. I'll do whatever it takes. Lysara gave him a brief nod, her expression unreadable.
Then let's make it count. The battle began in an instant, the air charged with tension. As both sides closed the distance, Lysara moved like a blur, her blade flashing in the dim light, cutting down their enemies with terrifying precision. Adam, though unsure of his place in all of this, fought beside her, doing what he could to protect them both. He didn't know how it would end, but one thing was clear: his choice had been made, and the consequences of that choice would echo through the galaxy for generations to come.